G'day everyone, and welcome to the first video of our big lap series, and that's where we've left Adelaide, so this one is gonna actually start from Phello, which is after our Easter trip, and then we'll make our way up to Darwin, see all the goodies on the way up to Darwin that one would expect us to go to, and then from Darwin it's down the west coast of Western Australia as we make our way down to Perth. All being well, after that we will be travelling back to Adelaide across the Nullarbor, so if you want to follow that trip, and it's one that we did back in 2004, so very similar to that. That was back before YouTube, and this time we're going to record it as we go around, so to follow us, like and subscribe, and follow us on that adventure. For our first night into the trip, we get a taste of the red dirt, and we're there for a couple of days while we're waiting for Michael and Janice to arrive, but once they arrive, as well as that red dirt, we see some beautiful red sunrises. From the colourful sunrise, we make our way to the Woomera Rocket Park where we have a look at the display there, and eventually we finish up in Coober Pedy where we spend 3 nights, and it's there that we go out to the very colourful and very spectacular Breakaway range. I'm Mick, and this is Sally. Together we've been caravanning Australia since the 1980s, and more recently we started to put the videos together just to show you some of what we see out there. There's a lot to see in Australia, and we hope you enjoy what we have here to show you. Joining us on the big lap with their own van are our good friends Michael and Janice. You can follow us on our trips via the following social media platforms. Our big lap trip starts at the Southern Flinders Ranges, and it's there that we had our Easter get together with the family, and once we leave there we go through Port Augusta and we make our way up 100 kilometres north of Port Augusta where we spend our time waiting for Michael and Janice to catch up with us. It was a gloomy sort of a day when we left, but we made it to Wilmington, and it was there that we refilled our water tanks with water after the Easter break, emptied the toilet cassette, and then we made our way on to Port Augusta. Once arriving in Port Augusta, we fitted a new auxiliary battery to the Land Cruiser, and then we took both the Land Cruiser and the Caravan around to a wash bay and gave them a good wash after the very dusty Easter period that we spent on the roads travelling there. With everything now clean and all the grocery shopping done, as well as the early voting for the election that was coming up, we made our way to a parking bay north of Port Augusta. Well, our first camping spot on the big lap is actually 100 kilometres north of Port Augusta, and it's here we're waiting for our friends that's going to be travelling with us, and we're not quite sure what day they're going to arrive because they've already left Adelaide on the Easter Sunday, but they had car problems, nothing serious hopefully, so they're sorting that now as we speak, and all being well we'll see them in a couple of days and then we'll start going north. The campground that we're in, as I've mentioned, is 100 k's north of Port Augusta, so I'll put a link to my left now, and that'll show where we are. Hope you enjoy the video. Like most of the parking bays that we do stop in, it's well worth going for a drive further afield and go out into the back of the parking bay, and if there's a road out the back, take that road and that'll take you away from the parking bay, and in a lot of cases where most people don't go, so quite clean and very private and away from all the noise. It was homemade pizzas done in the weather that night for a quick tea, something easy on the first night, and that allowed us to sit back and just admire a bit of a sunset that we're now having. Not a lot of colour in the sky, but nevertheless still very nice to look at. It was almost perfect weather whilst we were here, and unfortunately we got a little bit of colour on our sunsets and sunrises for the early part of this stay in this parking bay, but nothing spectacular. no wind, and with the clear skies, of course, no rain, but did we get some flies. We weren't real sure whether we were going to have a fire going whilst we were here or not, but with nothing else to do, I was out with the reciprocating saw, cut up a bit of the old myall tree, and we prepared our fire pit here. In the end, we didn't use it because it just wasn't the ideal fire time, I suppose, but we wanted to have a wood barbecue for one of our meals, so we had a little fire on the ground, and it was from there that we burnt the wood that we did cut. But quite nice sitting around. The first couple of nights were warm, but as the nights progressed, they got colder and colder. I was actually hoping with a bit of smoke from the fire that it might encourage the flies to go and annoy someone else, but that wasn't necessarily the case. But once those coals had arrived, the fire had burnt down and the coals were there, it was time to set up the wood barbecue. Once the barbecue was all oiled up and cleaned, it was time to put the chops and sausages on, sit back, let them cook, and then enjoy a wood-fired barbecue. Once upon a time, I always considered cooking a barbecue, whether it be a wood or a gas barbecue, was always a man's domain. Am I wrong? Is it still like that? But in our camp it certainly is. The following morning there was enough coals in the fire to get the fire going again, and then it was a matter of throwing the barbecue on there and cooking up some bacon and eggs for brekkie. It was early in the trip, but it was great to have a few lazy days up here in this rest area, parking bay, call it what you like. And it was that early afternoon on the third day up there that Michael and Janice arrived to join us on our trip. Michael and Janice actually blew a turbo boost hose on the way up from Adelaide, not very far out of Adelaide, so very early in the trip of course, but being Easter period, everyone was shut. You couldn't source a new hose or get a new hose fitted, anything like that, so that was a delay on them arriving, but they were here now and we were looking forward to the real start of the trip. It was the following morning as we prepared to start to travel north together that we woke up to this very pretty sunrise, and what a beautiful way to start the day. For our trip, our daily travel plans were very flexible, and we had no deadlines in mind at all for today, and as it turned out, we went all the way up to Glendambo. It was a gloomy sort of a day as we pulled out onto the main highway to start heading north, and we weren't quite sure what the weather was going to do for us, but as we progressed and got further north, the clouds got heavier and then got a little bit of rain, not very much at all, and no sooner the rain did fall, then we started to go into clear skies again. When we pulled in here to have a look at Island Lagoon, it was quite surprising how the lake appeared as though it was brown, and normally it's quite white, but perhaps that's because of the dry season, that I'm not sure. But from there it was on to Woomera, and it was at Woomera that we were going to have a look at the rocket park. Very interesting to have a look at all this equipment that's on display here in Woomera, and there's a lot of information that goes with the stuff that's on display, and it's also very interesting to know that Michael was involved with some of the development of some of the equipment that's on display here. It's great to see that everything that is on display here is all in its original colours. It's clean, it's shiny, and the paint is in great condition, and that makes it so much more enjoyable to view. Michael also knew Len Bedell, so we went out to the cemetery and had a look at the monument that honours Len Bedell and also mentions his wife there as well. Len Bedell was a great achiever in opening up roads in the outback, and I'll leave a link below that will take you to where you can get some information. Very interesting reading. From the cemetery it was on to Spud's Roadhouse, and that's where there's a campground there. It's one place that we've been wanting to visit for some time, so as we were going past, today was the opportunity to do that. Initially we thought we might camp here at this roadside rest stop, but it's all been done up and there's a fence here, and you can no longer drive out the back, so that meant that it was going to be very noisy if we pulled up there. And it is a truck rest stop. There's a gate here, it's not locked, and there's no signs to say you can't open it and go out the back and camp, but we didn't want to do that, so we thought we'd keep moving on. And it was another 30 kilometres down the road, and Glendambo was there, so it was a Glendambo caravan park for the night. The small town of Glendambo is a very popular truck stop, this one, and with the wind that was building up, it was going to suit us very nicely out the back in the caravan park. Well, we're at Glendambo now, and we were going to stay at that park and bay, but being it was all fenced off and you couldn't go out the back, we decided to come the extra 30 k's and spend a night here. So here for one night and moving on in the morning. The Glendambo Caravan Park is your typical outback caravan park type thing, and it doesn't offer very much, and unfortunately the amenity block and shower blocks were out of commission when we were there on this trip. They did open up a couple of motel rooms, and that gave people showers and toilets that they could use, but no water connection, and you had power connection if you wanted power, and plenty of red dirt to camp on. All the camping fees for the campground are paid for here at the hotel. Our day's travel today was going to take us from the caravan park here at Glendambo through to another caravan park, and that one was going to be at Coober Pedy. The further north you go, of course, the dearer the fuel becomes, so it was a quick refuel here before we left Glendambo this morning, and then it was back on the main highway to start heading north again. As we make our way further north, we come across these painted lines on the road, and that's the indication that it's emergency landing strip, and that's used by the Royal Flying Doctor. If there's an accident up in that part of the area of the country, and they need medical assistance there via a plane, and they'll shut the road off and they'll land a plane there, do their business, and then the plane will go again. But it's the only one that you'll see between Adelaide and Darwin. With our day's travel half over, it was time to stop and enjoy a nice cup of tea. Because it was early in the, I guess you could call the grey nomad touring season heading up north, we knew that at this point in the trip we would have no problems in being able to book into a caravan park once we arrived there. Morning everyone, and we're at Coober Pedy. We got here yesterday and set up and did a bit of washing, so it's our second day here after the first night, and we're in the Big 4 caravan park, which is just off the main highway as you turn into Coober Pedy, but at this stage here for 3 nights. The section of the caravan park that we're staying in was the latest part to be extended, and apparently it got washed away or pretty well affected with floods not that long ago, and for that reason it does need a lot of work, so the park manager or the park owner was telling us, but it was serving a purpose for us, and that was the main thing. Caravan park has got a great swimming pool, and I'm sure on those hot Coober Pedy days this would be a very much loved location. The sun was setting and the flies were going to bed, and it was starting to become a very wonderful evening. It was the next day that we headed out on the road towards Oodnadatta, and we headed up to the dog fence and then did that left-hand turn, went into the Breakaways, and then come back onto the main road and headed back into Coober Pedy, and it was quite a pleasant drive. It took about 3 hours I think it was for us all up. The road is bitumen from Coober Pedy out to where we are here at the moment, and we do that left-hand turn, and that's at that point that you start to follow the dog fence back towards the Breakaways. If you pause the video right here and read the information on this board, it'll tell you that the dingo fence is 5,600 kilometres in total length, and the reason they built the dingo fence was to keep the dingoes out of the area that the farmers were trying to graze sheep, and the red line there as it travels through the map of Australia, that illustrates where the dingo fence lies. As we make our way along the roads are in good condition here, although once we get closer into the Breakaways there are a number of washaways and ruts in the road, and some of them can be quite deep. I believe there is a sign on the road in front of us up when you get to the major lookouts some distance ahead that is a high clearance four-wheel drive is required to run on this road here that we're on now, which is quite surprising, but with those washouts and ruts I guess that's the reason for it. As we make our way into the Breakaways, there's some absolutely spectacular colour formations here between the whites, the oranges and the browns. It's really an eye-opener, and we've got this uphill walk here. It's only a short walk up, and you've got this beautiful view here. It's absolutely magic. The Breakaways are supposed to be very nice to see during that sunset golden hour period, and the lookouts that we're driving up to now, I would imagine they are the viewing areas that you would want to be at during that sunset time. We've never done the sunset. We've always along the lines thinking that you come out and have a look at it and finish up hitting wildlife as you headed back into Coober Pedy if that's where you'll camp, but no, a sunset viewing one time is a must. Just imagine what all these colours must look like during that golden hour period. As mentioned before, I think we're about 3 hours during our period that we're out looking at the Breakaways. It's a little bit less than 70 kilometres to travel, so you're not in the car very long, but just the time that you walk around and have a look at all these colours, it's quite easy to lose a few hours. There are two main, what we'd call elevated viewing areas that you drive to, and we're now onto the second one here, and even these colours as you look out here, absolutely beautiful. The weather forecast had indicated for the afternoon that the clouds were going to come in, and every now and again we'd get a shadow roll over that we had to wait to pass by so we could film or take photos, but I think the clouds that really added to the atmosphere of being out there. And to finish off with, we had this beautiful sunset back at the caravan park. Well, this brings us to the end of this video, but it's not the end of our time here in Coober Pedy, because when we start the next video, we'll show a little bit more of what Coober Pedy's got to offer. But until that video does go up, you take care and look after yourself.